Support WrestleTalk!
Donate on Patreon.
Is Dean Ambrose leaving WWE? I'm Ollie Davis, this is Luke Owen. Welcome to the Raw review edition of WrestleRamble, where we're stirring in a whole chunk of news. Because on last night's episode of Raw, in the opening segment, Seth was like, hey, I'm going to challenge you, WrestleMania sign. And then Triple H was like, you've got to challenge either Daniel Bryan or Brock Lesnar, but I'm proud of you, bud. And then Dean Ambrose comes out and says, well, I'm not proud of you because I don't like you very much. Match ensues. It was a pretty decent match. I thought it was, sort of on the upper side, in the good half of Rollins-Ambrose matches. And then Seth wins definitively with a curb stomp. As he should do. He just won the Royal Rumble. He is going on to main event WrestleMania. And he should be winning these sorts of matches. The feud with Dean Ambrose is over. But then Dean Ambrose stayed in the ring. And he seemed dejected. And we went to an ad break and we came back and he was sitting on a chair and he was kind of head in hands, had a microphone, was about to cut a promo, and he said, what was it that he said?
When I signed with WWE,
yes.
Like he was about to almost tell a story.
Yeah, like a kind of Kevin Owens when he quit the company last year and was back the next week.
But remember, he came back and Baron Corbin said he could do whatever he wanted. It was a really big storyline with really complex moving parts.
Yeah, that was over in days. And then Nia Jax comes out for her match. It's a tag match with Tamina against Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. Nia Jax gets into the ring, going off of the weird thing where she entered the Royal Rumble and beat up some guys, and some guys beat her up. She squared off to Dean Ambrose, and Dean Ambrose jaw jacked back. And Nia Jax forearms him out the ring. So he falls out the ring and he's just like, whatever, and walks off. That's the last we see of Dean Ambrose for the rest of the episode. And I was like, that's weird, but I was more concerned about the Nia Jax side of things. Like, where are they going with Nia Jax? What's happening here? Is she going to beat up guys a lot now?
Well, I think it was Meltzer was speculating on The Observer. I can't remember what it was. He wasn't reporting. He was speculating that this might be WWE introducing the idea of intergender wrestling, because one of the biggest complaints about Mixed Match Challenge was that women were allowed to tag guys, but guys were not allowed to tag women, and that made matches very stilted.
Oh, yeah.
Because as soon as because if you tag in someone, then the other person has to go across and tag in the other one. It doesn't actually feel like a tag match then.
No, and you can't do typical psychological stuff of working over one person, cutting off the ring, that kind of things, and getting heat that way. Anyway, yeah, we're all focused on the Nia Jax stuff. But then, and the Ambrose stuff was just weird. I thought this might play into something a few weeks down the line that will eventually be dropped at some point. But then you come in and say, have you seen the PW Torch report?
Yes, Pro Wrestling Torch, Wade Keller. For anyone who's never heard of Wade Keller or the Torch, they've been doing wrestling reporting since '87. So
they've been around a long time.
Yes, they
longer than I have been on this earth.
They are older than you and just slightly younger than I. So they've been doing wrestling reporting for a long time, and they are reporting, Wade Keller, that Dean Ambrose is leaving WWE after WrestleMania. His contract expires at the end of April. He told WWE over the weekend, I'm done, because they had offered him a new contract with a raise, and he was like, not interested. And I'm done. Not interested in negotiating it any further. Conversation's done. Wade Keller said that he even told this directly to Vince McMahon in a meeting, and that's it. He's made his mind up, and he's off. Well, he will be off, rather.
And with that context, you look at what happened last night on Raw, and you're like, well, I mean, that makes a whole load of sense. Are you going to enter a program with Nia Jax? Look, so the events of the last few days, if this happened over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, you would have thought that they'd be thinking about this in booking the Rumble match. Ambrose very unceremoniously eliminated by Aleister Black. And then you've got the Nia Jax stuff happen at 30.
I thought that was going to lead to an Aleister Black call-up.
Hey,
Davis.
don't rule it out. Maybe next week. And then you get the stuff with Nia Jax on Monday night. Now, I watched the backstage promo thing that doesn't make it on the broadcast. It's just on the YouTube channel and WWE.com. And it's an interview with Dean Ambrose backstage about what he felt happened. And this sort of stuff is generally not continuity. It's just content that they vomit over the internet. and it doesn't really mean anything. It's not like this is a scripted promo. It's more off the cuff stuff. But Ambrose starts talking about how he just assumes that Nia Jax must have slipped and pushed him out the ring by accident, and because there's no way she would try it on with a man, like try and physically beat up a man.
And so it's the weirdest thing, because when I was coming into the office today, in my head I was like, so they're going to do Dean Ambrose versus Triple H at WrestleMania. Maybe, I just figured from this thing, I completely forgot about the Nia Jax thing, in all fairness. I even forgot to mention it in my news episode. I was like, oh yeah, and then he lost to Rollins and was never seen again. I've completely forgot the Nia Jax thing. And then I was thinking like, oh yeah, because he had that moment with Triple H where he was like, are you allowed to make the match? Or have you got to ask your father-in-law if you're allowed? And I was like, oh, okay, they're going to do Dean and Triple H at WrestleMania.
It's a pretty cool line.
Totally, right? And it really worked for him. And I thought that was actually the first time in a while that Dean's felt cool and almost real and gritty. And then all of a sudden, now we're talking about maybe it's going to be Dean versus Nia at WrestleMania, and that will be the last thing that Dean does in the company.
Yeah, I mean, what a way to bury someone on their way out. Program them against Nia Jax as a guy. I think... the report goes on to say that Dean Ambrose hates hokey stuff, and so much of his character and storylines has been based on that. Yeah,
the quote is, he's indicated to WWE management this weekend he's not interested in negotiating further. One of his colleagues on the roster, when asked tonight about Dean's demeanour lately and if there was any sign of discontent, said he's pretty much impossible to read. He added, though, that Dean hates hokey S-word, and since so much of his character has been portrayed as hokey in the last few years, this person is not surprised that he would have built up frustration, leading to a breaking point. Top management in WWE and a small circle of friends of Dean knew about this decision this weekend, but colleagues around WWE did not. Dave Meltzer on Observer Radio has said that and that kind of makes sense, because Meltzer said that on Wrestling Observer Radio, when he was asked, that no one was talking about it backstage. So it felt like a very small circle of people knew this. It wasn't a big talking point. He's also said that he doesn't think it's an AEW thing.
Yeah, it could just be I've had enough. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. But that's not to say he won't eventually go to AEW.
Yes,
if he leaves 6 months. I mean, AEW don't even have TV at the moment.
And he said that AEW have not mentioned Ambrose's name in terms of the people that they would look to sign. Jericho put up that tweet saying there are 6 to 8 people currently signed within Impact and Ring of Honor and WWE that they are interested in. And I don't think Ambrose is one of those names.
But I guess that's because Ambrose is kind of that ilk in WWE where you're like, well, he's not leaving.
He's a top guy.
He's like a Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. He's a Shield guy.
Yeah.
Why would we even bother? It's like, well, we're really going to go after John Cena. Good luck with that. You can say that on paper, but it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
I would have put Dean Ambrose not at the level of John Cena, but in the same ballpark area.
Yeah, completely.
And I mean, if he is leaving in a weirdly beautiful New Japan kind of contract where your contract expires the day after the biggest pay-per-view of the year if it's in April. Like, now, if I'm AEW, of course you're now approaching Dean Ambrose, because that's a recognizable name that you can get right away.
Yeah, I was saying that on Discord, is that if AEW last week were not interested in the name Dean Ambrose, I wouldn't be surprised if they are now, and thinking... It's a signing that's not going to break the internet, but it's certainly going to get some people talking. It will certainly make news headlines. So yeah, it's a very, very interesting situation. Wade Keller adds, I thought this was quite interesting, that he is expected to finish up shortly after WrestleMania, although it's possible WWE could write him out of storyline sooner.
With a Nia Jax beatdown.
So perhaps they'll do, Nia's in the Elimination Chamber, maybe they'll do a match at Fastlane.
I really feel for the guy, because Dean Ambrose was the Iron Man in WWE for years. He wrestled more matches and appeared at more dates than anyone else in the company by a long way. I think he's wrestled 3 times as many matches with live events and all that as Seth Rollins has, because Seth Rollins was out with injury so much. And then he gets injured and he comes back after rehabbing, completely transformed his look, has this great storyline, a great character, and then the real life shock of, and this is just me sort of armchair speculating here, but this guy that I travelled the road with, that I came up with, Roman Reigns, suddenly he's got leukemia. And I am reassessing everything now, and you're putting me in... You haven't even used that to give me a proper serious storyline now. maybe life's a bit shorter than I previously thought, and I've got new priorities now. You know what? I don't care, WWE. You haven't satisfied me creatively, and you've, like, all the stuff I've given you from my body, you're not giving back. Yeah. I hope that people don't go against Dean Ambrose here.
And wasn't he like... he was really, really ill when he was injured.
Yeah, he got like a staph infection.
Yeah, and it was like almost like life-threatening sort of injury and stuff. So you got to like... I mean, again, we are very much in the sort of speculation station area here. If that all sort of ties together, then you... And Wade Keller says that it's nothing to do with money. Like, this is not a... He was offered a raise. It's not like he wasn't offered enough of a raise. The money doesn't bother him.
No, he doesn't seem like that sort of guy.
It's a creative thing that he's unhappy with. He doesn't like doing hokey stuff. And you've got to imagine that hanging around in gas masks and cutting promos on germophobia and things like that, or rather being a germaphobe, he wasn't cutting promos on germophobia, I wasn't saying it was a bad thing. That is hokey stuff. Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio that like it's very well known that Dean Ambrose hates doing scripted promos and he hates doing really hokey things.
Because he's so good. He's so good at promos. I guess the only other thing here to talk about is Renee Young. Of course, they're married. It doesn't usually... You'd think that a big company would be able to separate the two people as individuals, but
just ask
often,
AJ Lee.
Yeah, often there is a blowback on the one that stays with the company, and I hope that doesn't happen here.
Yeah, I hope
but at the same time, I'm sick of Renee on commentary, so maybe she could go to AEW.
Oh man!
And John Cena while we're at it. Let's chuck them all in.
It's a Raw review, looking jacked, man.
Raw opened, as we already said, with Seth Rollins coming out, and he cut like I liked him here. He seemed like a really humble babyface.
Yeah.
Crowd chanting, "You deserve it." And he talks about his dilemma. He either faces Rollins... he either faces Lesnar...
I'm sure he'd love to have a match with himself.
Or my friend Daniel Bryan. I just thought that was a weird way to phrase it, considering Bryan's a heel now.
Yeah, it was really weird, because that felt almost like real life. Yeah, we've been friends for years, and the two of us having a WrestleMania match would be like, that would mean so much to the both of us. Like, that's a really real life thing to say, as opposed to in this kayfabe world where Daniel Bryan is Captain Planet and he's ruining things.
I think it's fine to say it, but then have the additional line, I don't agree with what he's become recently, and I hope I could become the guy to win him back round and show him it's not hard.
No, but at the same time, he's not facing Daniel Bryan anyway, as was made abundantly clear at the end of this show.
I don't know. So the end of the show was Brock Lesnar just F5 and an F5 and an F5 and
6 of them in total.
I want that we know of. Raw went off air. He could still be doing it. I want next week to open with Seth coming out again. Yeah, I'm facing Daniel Bryan. I'm hurt.
Yeah. I've given it a lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
I could definitely beat Brock. I definitely could.
It's got nothing to do with what happened last week.
But I just think that it'd be really nice to have that match with Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, because he's my buddy. He's my pal.
He's my friend.
But then Triple H comes out, and he did. I don't know if it was staged or not, but I certainly bought into it, where he said... It was along the lines of, I wanted the real Seth Rollins, and I got him, and he seems to get choked up.
Yeah, it was a really nice moment. I think that Rollins and Triple H have clearly had a real life, very special relationship in terms of them working together in NXT. The Shield was a Triple H project. It was like the first of his NXT projects to come up. So he was so protective of that act and making sure that they got over and got put into these really big storylines. So I think that the fact that off the back of the Shield you had Roman Reigns as a top guy, Seth Rollins as a top guy, and Dean Ambrose, who should have been a topper guy, but was more sort of in that sort of upper mid-card level. I'd imagine he is probably a very proud NXT papa.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a really nice full circle thing.
Yeah.
And then, we got the Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose match, which I quite enjoyed. I thought it zipped along quite nicely. And sometimes, like after the big 5, it does feel like, even though not much has changed at all, it does feel like there's a brief reset.
Yeah.
And I felt like Seth Rollins felt fresher. And this matchup, although I've seen it a bunch over the last few months, felt a bit more immediate.
Yeah.
And then we got the Nia Jax thing with Tamina, and they were taking on Alexa Bliss and Mickie James to qualify for the Elimination Chamber.
Yes, for the Women's Tag Team Championships that will be decided at Elimination Chamber.
They were out there. They're real.
Oh, yeah, well, they were real.
Arrived.
Well, we saw them with the Horny Goblin, didn't we?
Yeah, they were put on stage.
Yeah, that was when Alexa Bliss unveiled them. And it was weird as well, because Alexa Bliss got like a genuine babyface reaction when she announced that she was going back into the ring. She got a genuine babyface reaction at the Royal Rumble. And then when they set up that it was Alexa and Mickie versus Jax and Tamina, in my head I was like, I wonder if they've turned like Bliss babyface. Not like doing a big babyface turn, but just like a low-key thing of just like, well, I mean, she's getting a babyface reaction. We'll just make her a babyface now. And then they cut a promo where they were just like, no, they're both pigs, and I want to win the belt. And I was like, oh, cool. No, this is heel versus heel then.
It's a shame because a heel Nia Jax versus a babyface Bliss would have been quite a nice dynamic flip on their relationship. And Bliss has been a heel for so long.
Pretty much forever. She started out in NXT
roster,
completely. She started out in NXT as a babyface when she was like the pixie fairy cheerleader girl. And then she went heel with Murphy and the other one.
Yeah.
And
Clemson?
It was Wesley Blake.
Wesley Blake.
From the Forgotten Sons.
Yeah.
So he went heel with them, and then she's just been a heel ever since.
Yeah, I think now's the time, because people were so into and so happy that she came back. And remember those fake babyface promos she cut? She's a good babyface promo. She's an excellent heel, of course, and I think that's where her real strength is. But sometimes you got to go with the grain. Like when Seth Rollins came back, he should have immediately been a babyface.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't. They sort of made him this tweener, and then he reluctantly became a babyface and still sided with the McMahons. It was weird. I think it would have been a wiser decision to just make Bliss a babyface here.
Yeah.
I think people are ready to cheer her.
It was kind of crazy as well that, like, you look at the lineup that they got for this team, and when it did like Nia Jax and Tamina versus Alexa Bliss and Mickie James, I was like, okay, I mean that makes sense. Those are two partnerships that have been together for quite some time. And then later on in the show, after this they announced that Natalya was teaming with Dana Brooke, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then later they were like, and Alicia Fox is teaming with Nikki Cross. I'm like,
Yeah.
Really? And you're like, oh yeah. I mean, in theory, these tag team championships are a really good idea, but they haven't got a very depth-filled roster of tag teams to make a tournament work.
Which is why can't you do an Elimination Chamber match with just 3 teams? So you just have one person in each chamber, and then you can play the heels have the advantage dynamic.
Yeah. So if like Bayley was in first, and all of the other heels got out, and it was just Sasha Banks, like she was the last person released, just desperate to get out.
That's a really good story.
Bayley constantly kicking out. It almost feels like they're going to be eliminated. Yeah, that'd be a really nice story.
Yeah.
And then Banks would get in and turn on Bayley.
Yeah. Classic chamber spot. Yeah, it's gonna feel. It feels like there's so many silhouettes on the screen in that graphic at the moment. None of them look like The Miz. It's weird to see the lady vacant.
And they've only done... I might be wrong on this.
The vacantess.
They've only done one tag team elimination chamber previously. And it was only a couple of years ago. But I don't think it was very good.
There's a lot of bodies.
I don't really remember it that well.
This was I enjoyed Nia Jax in this match.
Same here.
She kind of feels like she's a bit refreshed off of a Royal Rumble kind of reset. She got a really impressive Samoan drop on both Mickie James and Alexa Bliss.
Really pushing her as like the dominant force with it. And it's that sort of thing that going into the Elimination Chamber, you're like, oh man, can you imagine what's going to happen when Nia Jax is inside the Elimination Chamber?
Beating up Dean Ambrose. And there was a bit where she just like did the sort of, not a full stink face, but a butt bash spot, I guess, a hip attack in the corner.
It's the laziest stink face I've ever seen in my life.
And she just like propped herself up there and smirked.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
Great.
Yeah.
I think she's doing some very nice character work at the moment.
Unfortunately, we haven't got the same from Kurt Angle.
So we should. So Jax and Tamina won.
Yeah.
I don't think we said that. So they're going into the chamber.
Man, I believed, Luke. Kurt Angle got a backstage promo. It was like a different kind of presentation where the interviewer's off camera, the mic is held just out from the camera lens, and Kurt saying, well, you know, I want to have one last run. I want to really redeem and prove myself just one last time. I'm thinking, yes, this is the road to WrestleMania. This is where you start Kurt Angle's one last Hiroshi Tanahashi comeback story. And then he lost to Baron Corbin, not even to his finisher.
No, I know. Although, Kurt Angle's promo, he says that, like, without Corbin, I would still be Raw GM. And I'm like, no, you wouldn't, mate. The whole point of the McMahons coming in is that they got rid of all GMs.
Yeah, I don't think he watched for a few months there. And he said that being Raw GM was the most fun he's ever had.
Yeah.
Really?
Boulder Dash, mate.
It
Boulder
was. I could
Dash.
see you weren't enjoying it.
Just on the phone all the time. The match with Corbin, it was good, crikey. It was what you'd imagine it would be.
I was invested in it because I thought they were going to tell this Kurt Angle comeback story, which it doesn't have to be great wrestling in the ring. I just want him to go on a tear. He kind of looks grizzled and a bit lean and dangerous, kind of Wolverine-y. I don't know why I'm getting that feel from him. And but he did the Olympic slam, kick out.
It wasn't even like a big moment kick out for Corbin.
And then he locked in the ankle lock, and I was like, here we go. That easily beat Baron. Baron needs to get his comeuppance from all the times he sort of healed it up against Angle. And then, deep six.
Well, maybe. I know you're after this sort of like Kurt Angle road to WrestleMania storyline. Maybe this is your first chapter. You come off the back of losing to Drew, then you lose to Baron. You're like, I need to reassess what I'm doing. He's come back as a meaner Kurt Angle and not be like, oh, yeah, I was Raw GM for a bit and that was fun.
Yes, yeah. I hope that's what happens. I would have preferred they skip this bit of it. You've already told the story where he's beaten. That was the Drew match.
Yeah, and that was more convincing than him losing to Baron Corbin.
And then he's had the time off, and now he's come back. Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Still had a rest hold. But this match, I mean, as bad as this match was, well, not really as bad, it was not uninteresting this match was to watch. The commentary was dreadful.
Corey Graves was yelling at people, let me finish my point, and they're all bickering and talking over each other. It was audio vomit.
There was one point when Renee kept talking over him, and he was like, Renee, will you just let me finish my point? Because they kept picking on him, saying, like, you're friends with Baron Corbin, that's why you're on his side. That you're not on Kurt Angle's side. Baron Corbin's the whole reason that Raw fell apart. He's the reason why WWE was bad for so long. And he's just like, Renee, let me finish my point. And so Renee goes quiet, and he starts to make his point, and then Michael Cole just talks over him instead.
Yeah, it was very annoying to listen to. But Baron goes in and beats him up again afterwards. Yeah. Actually hits his finisher this time. Kurt was made to look rubbish. Yeah. And I didn't enjoy this, but hopefully they go the route that you said.
Yeah.
Speaking of looking rubbish, or just flattened out rather, Finn Balor arrived backstage.
In fairness, Balor was selling all of the injuries from the night before. He'd had a grueling match with Brock Lesnar. He wasn't at 100%. Bobby Lashley, on the other hand, didn't even wrestle because he just got eliminated from the Rumble. So he's at 100%. Balor was not.
Yeah, what are the chances at sacrifice, though?
Easy pickings for Lashley.
Balor arrives backstage and he's like, hi, Rhino, hi, Heath Slater, hi, all my little friends in the undercard. And they're like, oh, you did so well, Sasha Banks and Bayley. Oh, you did well last night. And I liked that. I thought that was good. Otis Dozovic is in the background doing some weird motion. It was just a weird man. But then he comes down to the ring. Like you said, he was selling the injuries effectively. And he cut this promo, which was effectively, I might not have beaten the Beast, but I made the Beast believe. And I was like, and? What? And now you're going to do what? You're going to try and go for him again? Anything of the demon? Are you... Because believing is a bit empty. And then that's it. He just leaned back and Bobby Lashley's music hit. And I was like, oh, crap. You're here again.
At least he's got a title, which Balor might be able to win. Hey, man, I'm clutching at straws here. It's something at the very least.
It was, yeah, look, if he said, I thought the way this was done, Balor going for the Intercontinental title against Bobby Lashley, which is effectively a poor man's Brock Lesnar. Yeah. But you're playing up the size and MMA advantage over Balor's smaller stature. I just thought the way it was done was so lame. This whole idea of, but I made him believe. I'm like, really? I think Brock's going home that night going, oh, wow, close one. Yeah. No, I'm thinking he beat the heckins out of you.
Yeah, and then continued to beat the heckins out of you after he'd already won.
It was so ineffective. Because what it just says is Balor is thinking about what an impression he left on Brock. Brock isn't thinking about him at all. So it just makes Balor look just rubbish.
It's one of these things where, and this has happened. It's happened last year as well, where something has happened in WWE where a lot of people have gone like, well, that didn't really do much for that guy. And I thought to myself, but it just feels like they're telling another story. The example I'm thinking of is Cena Undertaker last year, because Cena spent all the first quarter of 2018 going like, I'm calling you out, Undertaker, I'm calling you out, and then eventually they had a WrestleMania match. You're like, oh my god, they're actually having this match, and it went like 3 minutes, and Taker just won with a tombstone. You're like, oh. But I remember saying at the time, but it's fine because they're just going to lead to a storyline. This is going to lead to Undertaker Cena 2 at WrestleMania next year, and they've got a whole year to build it then. And then they never did that.
No.
And I did the exact same thing. I was like, he beat Balor, but he hasn't beaten the Demon. So Balor can come out and be like, you may have beaten me, but I left you scared. You had to resort to other things. So now, when I bring out my darker side, you're not going to be able to beat him.
Yeah.
And you build that program into WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's really, really damaging, because what it says is these people that you're getting behind don't. Because after 2 weeks or after this pay-per-view match, they're just going to be flattened out to the same level they were before.
Just ask Sasha Banks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where was she on this show?
Well, she was hugging Balor.
Yeah, backstage. Then we got the Revival taking on Curt Hawkins and Zack Ryder.
We didn't quite finish that segment. Bobby Lashley.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Lashley beat up Finn Balor a lot.
Yeah, so...
Using Lars Sullivan's finisher.
Huh. Freak axe them.
Yeah. More or less.
So then we got the Revival and Curt Hawkins versus Curt Hawkins and Zack Ryder.
It's misspelt.
Oh, was it?
They misspelt Zack Ryder's name.
How did they spell it?
With a H rather than a K.
Oh, weird. Well, he's on his way out. I think they've already mentally given up.
Yeah, it was going to be my news today before the Dean Ambrose thing, but it really felt like, he wasn't on TV all last year. They just forgot.
Yeah, this really is the AEW division. Revival, quite obviously asked for their release to go to AEW. Zack Ryder, Cody's trying to court. It's weird how they've all ended up in the same storyline.
That's going nowhere.
Yeah. So this was nonsense.
They did show some nice nostalgic clips, though, of Hawkins and Ryder as a tag team back in 2008 as the Major Brothers and as the Edgeheads and things like that. So that was quite nice, but then they just lost very convincingly.
Yeah, which they should have done. I want Curt Hawkins to continue to lose. He took the fall here to the Shatter Machine, and you build it, and then they finally get their win. Or what if Zack turns on Curt, and then you build to a WrestleMania match between the two, and that's when Hawkins first gets his win. Maybe
on the undercard.
Yeah.
Probably on Saturday at Access.
No, it'll be in the Battle Royal.
Actually, that wouldn't be the worst thing.
No, it wouldn't be the worst thing.
Well, it's not like the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal means anything.
No.
You may as well give him the win there.
That's got a long, illustrious list of previous
Who won
winners.
it last year?
Nicholas. Was it Nicholas?
No, he won the tag titles.
No, Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy did.
Yeah.
With Bray Wyatt's help. That went somewhere. Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan were backstage next.
There was no mention of the Frankenstein thing with the Revival and AOP.
Yeah, that's pre-show continuity. That didn't happen. The SmackDown win at Survivor Series.
Does that mean Rusev's still US champion?
Well, is he not? I am not paying attention.
Sorry.
Yeah, so Bryan and Rowan are backstage, and someone's interviewing Bryan. Bryan cut, just a typically excellent promo, and saying that see who Seth Rollins chooses at Mania. He's got a black eye.
And it was a stiff match. They were working El Stiffo. That's trying to get the crowd into something.
We've
had some reports from people. Some people got in touch with us on YouTube and on Twitter saying that there were pockets of the crowd that were into that match, but it was in such a large capacity.
Yeah,
and everyone was using it as a toilet break.
Yeah. Oh, that's a shame. Well, I guess the women's Rumble match was so long.
Hour 12.
If you held it in, you're like, I'm
to
like
go.
10 beers in now.
Yeah.
After that pre-show, then we got a WrestleMania is 69 days away graphic.
Giggity. 69, dude.
And then who wants to turn heel with Elias?
Yeah. That's what I've written here. I think Elias is heel again.
This was when he smashed the guitar over Jarrett in the opening part of the Royal Rumble. I was like, yeah, but it's not a heel turn. It's everyone out for themselves in the Rumble.
Did we not say this in the Rumble review?
Yeah.
That we thought he turned heel?
No.
Oh, did we not?
No.
I thought we talked about this.
No,
I thought he had turned heel.
No, people do that in the Rumble all the time. I just thought it was an innocent Rumble spot. Nope. It seemed to have been the first bit of a heel turn, because here he is. Like, the last 3 months haven't happened.
What's a new era?
22nd of October. Well, why not have him turn heel at the start of the new era? When I talk about a nice reset and refresh after the big 5 pay-per-views, this isn't what I mean. I want some logic going into stuff. 3 months ago, 22nd of October, Elias randomly turned babyface. This was because the previous week, Roman Reigns announced that he had been diagnosed with leukemia. All of a sudden, Raw has a lack of babyfaces problem. So Braun Strowman suddenly turns babyface, and Elias turns babyface. The Elias one was like fine, actually, because we were like, we're ready to cheer him, and fine.
We're cheering him anyway.
Braun's turned back and forth a few times. That's more damaging, I thought. So and we were cheering him. Elias is an overact. And then you've made him a heel again. It's just a bit insulting.
And we're back to Elias just doing nouts, just like nothing programs, feuding with essentially WWE legends. Because what happened was he said he went soft on the fans and he wants his songs back and this, that, and the other. And then also out comes Jarrett. I did pop when he said, "Listen up, slap nuts."
Oh yeah, yes! I love Jeff Jarrett here.
I thought Jarrett was so great in this segment. Him and Road Dogg together, I really enjoyed this segment.
Yeah, Road Dogg, hugely charismatic, always has been. Jarrett's in-ring work, I really like.
Oh, his punches.
Punches, obviously.
Jesus,
everyone always
so
loves the punches.
Good.
Wait till he busts out a drop kick. But it was the selling.
Yeah.
When he sold that guitar shot like it'd been sniped from the top of the arena, I was like, no. I almost thought like Adagio by whatever the platoon track was going to bust out. He was doing such a good sell.
It was so good. See, he said that Elias has got a problem with him now, and this brings out Road Dogg wearing a Becky Lynch t-shirt, and all those people who were asking for Road Dogg to be fired were so happy to see him. They wanted to do his theme song, and the crowd started chanting "Holy S," and Road Dogg went, "This is a family show," and it just made the crowd do it more. Yeah. And then he realized, was like, I made that worse.
Yeah.
So there was a really nice off-the-cuff moment.
Yeah, I think he meant that because he literally had just done a masturbation joke. Elias said that he's only gonna play songs for himself now. Road Dogg said, "Well, if you want to play with yourself, do it in your own time."
That's PG though.
Yeah, it's kind of a PG one. Yeah.
S is not a PG word.
It's a naughty word.
Yeah.
But this was it was really good.
Do you know what my favourite part of this was? When they started singing "With My Baby Tonight" and Road Dogg went to Renee Young to sing and she didn't know the words.
Oh, no. She wasn't born then. But then
Poor Corey Graves was livid. He was livid that she didn't know the words.
PW Torch had been reporting for 10 years before Renee even got to this earth.
He was like, do you not even listen to Something to Wrestle?
So Road Dogg and Jarrett come down, but Elias smashes the guitar over Road Dogg's back. And then the camera weirdly cut to Jarrett prepping to get into the ring.
Yeah.
But I think that was a mistake. And then he got in and they had a bit of rough and tumble. Yeah, Jarrett's brief comeback was really
great.
Enjoyed it. It took me back to when I was so into Jarrett in the TNA King of the Mountain days, when he was revered as this iconic figure, which is, him rewriting history and presenting himself in a certain way. But I believed in him in that time. And yeah, so the report is he's going to be around more?
PW Insider, because he's just signed on as a backstage producer. So he's changed his Legends deal now, and now he's working as a backstage producer on a weekly basis, which kind of then, when you start to think about those Dolph Ziggler rumors that he was offered that producer role, which he turned down, couple that with them going after Abyss and Sonjay Dutt. And Sonjay Dutt started on this show. That was his first show tonight, according to PW Insider. So yes, Jarrett's now signed to be a backstage producer, but we're going to be seeing him more on screen as a character.
I've got nothing against that.
Really
I'm really surprised in 2019.
Yeah.
Given like all those dodgy deals and TNA shenanigans and Global Force nonsense and seemingly Ponzi gold schemes.
Going for the gold, or whatever it was.
I'm enjoying seeing Jarrett there.
Yeah. Nice to see him turn things around.
Yeah. Speaking of turning things around, Mojo Rawley's on screen.
Well, before that, we got...
we can talk about this, I guess.
Well, yeah, Natty was walking up. Walking up. She was warming up backstage, and Dana walked up. So this is where we found out Ember Moon's injured. She is out with a shoulder injury, I think it is, or it's some form of arm injury. She's going to be out for a while.
That's crazy because that Women's Rumble match looks so safe.
So she's injured. She's going to be out for some time, apparently. No other news on that. But that's why Dana Brooke is tagging with Natalya, because apparently Natalya's first choice was Ember Moon.
Because she's good, presumably.
Yeah, well, presumably.
Then we got this backstage promo from Mojo Rawley. Mojo Rawley, as everyone knows, really, who watches stuff online, is a great, great promo. And he cuts this really intense promo looking off camera, and he's like, it's all your fault that essentially I'm not better portrayed on TV, that I haven't got the opportunities. And the camera turns round. Of course it's a mirror. Of course he's looking in his own reflection.
The Ultimate Warrior was behind him.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought this was great.
This was great, yeah. Mojo Rawley, former Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner.
Yeah, well, now it's coming home to roost. I hope this is the exact kind of segment, though, that will be dropped. It'll be done to death over 4 weeks with no, all in the same style, all the same content. It becomes white noise, and then they're like, it's not getting over. Let's drop it.
Yeah, well, we tried. We did try and push him, but it just didn't work. His No Way Jose feud last year. Amazingly, it just didn't get him over.
He's feuding with kids now, it seems. That's where he is. He's leading conga lines into, what was that thing, into schools? It was like a charity thing. They did a video package on this. Was it UNICEF?
Yeah.
Then we got the Riott Squad taking on the aforementioned team of Brooke and Natalya for the Elimination Chamber qualifiers. And surprise, surprise, the actual team won.
I was a bit concerned that Natty and Dana were going to be the odd couple. I thought that they might do this storyline where they eventually have to work together in order to try and win the belts and maybe try and get us invested in something. And I thought, God, that's really going to damage the Riott Squad. This makeshift team. Thankfully, the Riott Squad won, so all is fine.
Oddly, the combination of Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan. I don't know if they're going to play Freebird with who actually enters the chamber, but
interesting.
A Logan Riott team. Oh, yes. I'm genuinely into that. Yeah. I'm genuinely excited to see those two wrestle.
Completely agree.
Morgan and Logan, not so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're going to the chamber. Then we got...
Who do you think the other teams are going to be? Banks and Bayley?
Iconics. Or will it be Iconics? Banks and Bayley. So there's 6 teams over. That will round out Raw.
Yep.
And then on SmackDown...
Iconics, Naomi and Lana? I'm supposed maybe Lana's hurt. Well, she's not really hurt. It's a storyline thing.
If Becky is facing Ronda at WrestleMania, there's not really anything for them to do in the title picture. So maybe you have an odd couple of Becky and Charlotte as a team, and they implode.
Yeah, could be.
And then that might tell.
But then what's Asuka going to do?
Feud with Carmella.
Yeah, sorry.
Obviously.
I keep saying what's next for Asuka, and you keep giving me the very sensible and obvious answer. It's Carmella.
But over here we got Ronda. Speaking of the WrestleMania main event, Ronda Rousey came out.
This segment, dearie me. This is one of those segments where you're like, how did you not see this happening? How did you write this down on paper and think, this'll work?
Yeah, or not even brief Ronda, hey, if it does go south, just, start talking about something else.
Yeah, don't corpse. No. That'd be my first note.
Yeah, I don't know how much... Okay, so let's talk about what happened.
Yeah.
It was a post-Royal Rumble crowd, which has a sizable travelling audience, not as big as WrestleMania, but that means all the mainstream fans don't typically make it into the next night's Raw because the hardcore fans who have travelled from all around the world, this is like a 4-day trip for them of wrestling, NXT, Mania, Raw, SmackDown. So they've bought up all the seats for Raw. So you get a more smart fan reaction, as the term is, to what's going on. So it's that Raw after Mania crowd, really, but not to so much of a degree. And they love Becky Lynch. So much so that even if they also do like Ronda Rousey, they're still going to chant for Becky Lynch and boo Ronda Rousey. And that's exactly what happened. Ronda comes out. there's so many signs in the crowd, those printed off ones that just say the man. People were chanting Becky, they're booing Ronda. Ronda is trying to struggle through this generic promo.
And this is where the whole thing fell apart. Because the way I sort of read it was that this crowd really wanted to see Becky. But it's also this crowd wanted Ronda to talk about Becky and talk about Becky won the Royal Rumble. Yeah. That is the match, in Ronda's eyes, that's the match I want. That's why I wanted to have this match at Survivor Series. That's why I interfered at TLC. We've got unfinished business. They wanted to hear that sort of promo out of her. What she was like, she goes, people have dreams, and sometimes you really need to work hard for those dreams and those dreams. And she's just talking about nonsense to try and segue into Sasha did well last night. And now on to Becky Lynch. And all of a sudden the crowd were like, hey! Yeah. But the segment had already died by that point because they gave her this garbage to talk about to start with.
Yeah, and she was rattled by this reaction. As you said, she corpsed. I think she was actually annoyed.
Oh, yeah.
Because she doesn't... She seems to not take these things very well. And... That she just stops talking. She just puts the mic by her hip and stops talking.
Yeah, she tried to play with the crowd a little bit, sort of like lifting the microphone up, saying like, "Are you going to do it again? You're going to do it again?"
It was awkward.
The crowd didn't really then play along, and so then she just. And I've written here, did she forget her lines? Because she just put her mic down, and then there's just a long pause, and then Bayley's music hits. Michael Cole, credit to him, had to fill in all the blanks because Ronda was clearly saying, I'm a fighting champion. I want to issue an open challenge. Who in the back wants to come out and face me? So Michael Cole, Bayley's music goes, well, Ronda has issued an open challenge, and it appears that Bayley is the one that's going to be answering this.
Yeah, it wasn't the crowd control like Roman Reigns defeating The Undertaker. It wasn't that kind of crowd control. This was the crowd were totally in control of this segment.
Yeah.
But Bayley came out. Credit to Bayley. Not only did she save Ronda, I think they sent Bayley out early.
Oh, yeah.
But definitely. I think Ronda had at least 20 more minutes of millennial material left. And Bayley comes out and just really succinctly in one line says, this is what's happening now. Don't worry, Ronda. We're going to have a match. And they have a match. And Bayley was great.
Yeah. But
surprise.
I was really, really annoyed in this match, though, because... They were telling the story that Bayley was great and she was doing really well to fight against Ronda. She's like really put herself up onto Ronda's level. Had actually some really good back and forth stuff. Bayley was using her in-ring smarts to kind of like, go for the injured arm that had been injured the night before. And then Renee Young pipes up, and I quote, Bayley is only looking good because Ronda's hurt. And then the commentators just, every time were just like, God, Ronda's great. Ronda's the best. And it really felt like that. Vince McMahon, Kevin Dunn, okay, the crowd are not reacting the way we want. We need to Roman Reigns this situation. Go full board on commentary about how much we love Ronda Rousey and how brilliant she is and why she's such a good babyface.
It's really problematic.
It's so damaging.
Why not go with the grain all the time? It's easier.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot more effective. Yeah. But the match itself... commentary aside, I thought was very good.
Yeah,
and
really
this is down to Bayley, really. Great jumping knee bar.
Oh.
That was awesome. And then the sort of drop kick through the turnbuckle bit. I feel it's because we haven't had a chance to watch Bayley wrestle a match like this really for a year when she's been in this stupid tag team act with Sasha. And she even locked in the Banks statement at one point, which was a really nice spot.
Really nice touch. Banks... took against a lot of people yesterday. I saw Gorilla Position post up saying that they thought the Banks Ronda match was the best match that Sasha Banks has had or the best match that Sasha Banks has had in ages. And Banks replied to it going like, in ages, blocked. But at the same time, I'm thinking like, but really, it's the only match you've had in ages. Well, no, Sasha, that's nothing against you, mate. That's against the company.
Sasha had a pay-per-view match against Ronda. Becky's going to get one. Charlotte had one at Survivor Series. It's sad that of those, of the 4 WWE horsewomen, that Bayley's the one getting a throwaway match on Raw. Well, it would have been nice to have all of them to get a pay-per-view match against.
But she was always the afterthought of the horsewoman, wasn't she? She was the one that wasn't called up when the other 3 were. She was the one that had to stay in NXT for a little bit longer. And then she was called up quite unceremoniously, really, and it was just like, well, she's now on the main roster, I guess.
Yeah, it's like she was a license to print money.
Yeah, she was.
And this match, as much as I enjoyed it, it's a bit bittersweet because it reminds me, This is where Bayley's at.
There was a period in time when I thought to myself that Bayley is a female John Cena.
Yeah, we all thought it.
Yeah, because she appeals, but she's a John Cena in the sense that it actually works because not only does she massively appeal to kids, adults love her as well. It's the character, it's the John Cena reaction they always wanted. They just got it in Bayley instead. But yeah, that's very much dissipated.
Ronda won, of course, making Bayley tap in the armbar, and they shake hands afterwards. And then I thought, well, that's it, isn't it? Because earlier in the night, when Triple H was with Seth, he said, you have to decide your WrestleMania opponent tonight, whereas Becky will do it on tomorrow night's SmackDown. And there was a bit of booing from the crowd because they're like, oh, that means we don't get Becky. And I was like, okay, so Becky's not on the show. And they show Daniel Bryan backstage setting up that he's there. Never see Becky. And then, in a similar stroke of genius that Becky didn't come out at number 30, she replaced Lana at number 29 after number 30 had come out. 28 after number 30 had come out. I thought it was inspired to then to set that up in that way for Becky to come out now. Audience thought they weren't getting it, and then they get it. And they go crazy for her. She got such a big reaction.
Yeah, and this segment then all of a sudden came alive.
Oh, yeah.
Because Ronda was great. Becky was great. The moment was really, really good. And you're suddenly thinking to yourself, this is the most interesting storyline going into WrestleMania. This has to be the headlining match. It's awesome. The crowd was so into this. And bloody love you, Becky. Selling the injuries from the night before. Yes.
Hobbling down.
More of this. More selling of injuries. It was very, very good. Bayley disappeared. But but in all fairness, she's not involved, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And yet, it was just, they just going to cut these promos back and forth with each other. And I thought Ronda's promo was really, really good. I thought Becky was so great.
Ronda's delivery was good because it was so intense and shouting. It doesn't really, in an Ultimate Warrior way, it doesn't matter what you say. I feel your emotion and I'm into that.
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it, yeah.
But Ronda's content I thought was gibberish. So I've just realised that she literally said this, I've just realised we're the same age.
Yeah.
Which sort of led into the thing that when I was doing this, and this, you weren't doing anything.
Yeah, when I was training, you were like, oh, sorry, when you were training, I was main eventing pay-per-views in a company that didn't even want me.
Yeah, but then you're like, but you talked about Becky being a millennial. So it undoes all that stuff, and I was just... Yeah, you're right. So that tripped me up.
I just realised we're the same. That makes my promo makes no sense now.
Everything I said before, just scrap that. Scrap that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill. She did say I'm gonna kill you with my bare hands, I believe, which was awesome. And as awesome as Ronda's fire was, Becky just smirking and standing there, being like, I'm reeling you in, you stupid numpty.
Exactly, yeah. It was really, really great. I loved this segment. I thought it was awesome.
Home run. Absolute home run.
Eventually.
You got there in the end. Well, the Becky Ronda segment. I'm seeing that as a different segment. And I like the Bayley Ronda match too. And also, the crowd, the boos for Ronda here when she tried to... You couldn't hear Ronda speak sometimes because the boos were so loud for her. Cheers were awesome for Becky. Great. But
you've just got to hope, and perhaps I'm saying this with really false hope, that the company pick up that people are into Becky, they're not into Ronda, and you just push the thing of just like, well, we need to make Ronda look like even more of a babyface and need to stop people cheering Becky.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen.
I really hope
I feel like they're on board with Becky. They've booked her so well and protected her so, but they're doing it to set her up for a Ronda. That's exactly what they used to do to other people's opponents.
It's a Roman, isn't it?
Oh, well, that's just be on the side of optimism here.
Please do.
Especially
Road Dogg was wearing her T-shirt.
Yeah.
He's a writer.
It was always the plan.
It just wasn't the storyline you wanted at that time.
Yeah. Then there was a really sweet video package for I think it was a Make-A-Wish kid who was brought into this sort of WWE headquarters, and he was excited, and he walks up to the desk, and the person turns round, and it's Sasha Banks on the desk, and I
think it was Seth Rollins as well.
Seth Rollins was next to her, and then he just takes a flat back bump on the floor. It was great.
So lovely. Holy hell.
Yeah.
I mean, I cry or anything.
No. But that was very sweet.
So sweet.
So we do say well done, WWE, when you do good packages like this. But if you show me one more Black History Month video package that I've seen 4 times already, we're over.
For the record, I did cry.
Braun Strowman took on Drew McIntyre next.
Did they turn the crowd off? And it's again that thing. I said this in the Rumble review. They should have ended with the Becky segment.
Oh, totally.
I think you probably should have ended with the Becky segment again here.
Yeah, because Becky... Everyone loves Becky so much, they're done. They're done afterwards. That's the money shot. I'm spent.
You know when people really, really like Steve Austin? You always waited to put him on last. You didn't do him in the opening segment. You're like, and that's your Austin for the evening.
Here's Baron Corbin.
You want a headlock?
Play us out, Baron Corbin. So this was Strowman versus McIntyre. And yeah, well, it was quiet. Braun shook Seth's hand backstage earlier, which was a nice show of respect after they were the final two in the Rumble. And I've missed Braun on TV.
Yeah.
Watching him wrestle here last week's match with Finn, I don't feel like absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Absolutely.
And I have missed Strowman, and I'm glad he's back and healthy.
It's the same thing we said with Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
I think we were a little bit tired of Alexa Bliss always being in the championship picture, but a couple of months off TV, not being in the ring, you're like, God, I'm glad to see her back again. It's almost like they should have an off-season.
Yeah, or cycle people in and out.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Strowman's in-ring wrestling here, or just more outside of wrestling, just the him and Drew fighting together, a great big hoss battle. And then, I mean, the sour point is that Baron Corbin got involved.
Yeah, this was all to set up a Baron Corbin versus Braun Strowman feud. Again. We literally just had this feud. We've all moved past it, and they've gone, let's do it again.
Yeah. Or maybe it's I got that it's a Drew McIntyre Braun Strowman feud, but you can't only have one person go up against Strowman, so he has backup in Corbin. Yeah, I'm not a fan either.
It's Drew. Drew doesn't need mates.
No.
His whole thing is that, he doesn't need mates.
He's big.
He's big on his own.
A big, beefy lad.
I was really, when Corbin came out and caused the DQ, I have written F off in massive capital letters. I was so annoyed. And then when Corbin and Drew did the Braun pose, and I was like, lads, come on. It's Drew McIntyre. It's already there. The package is already there. You don't need to keep putting him with other people in a fear that he's not going to get over.
It's weird how there's this weird vortex of talent as well, where no matter where they are on the card, no matter who's had an injury and been out, Strowman, Corbin and McIntyre manage to find each other, and when they come together, Bobby Lashley will be dragged into the gravitational pull's too much. So this is not promising. It's uninspiring. That said, Braun punching a steel chair out of Corbin's hand was excellent.
Awesome. Great stuff.
This bit ended with a double choke slam on Braun onto the steel steps. Meh. Yeah. Not excited for that.
Dolph, no sign whatsoever after him eliminating Drew from the Royal Rumble. I don't even think it was mentioned on commentary or anything like that, so Dolph made a surprise return. And PW Insider said he wasn't even backstage at Raw.
Hey, maybe that was the send-off.
Well, could be, because his contract apparently ends in 2 days' time. So it's really going to be one of those things of we'll see what happens next week if Dolph shows up. But I was thinking on the way in, it is currently a 2-on-1 feud. Maybe Dolph becomes Braun's tag team partner, and then we'll do a tag team feud between between all four men.
Or the return of Nicholas.
Wow, he's 12 now.
We can hope.
Or 30. He's 30. Was he 12 last year?
I can't remember.
So
the main event was reserved, probably unwisely considering how good that Becky Ronda segment was, for Seth Rollins deciding his WrestleMania opponent. And the ring announcer is announcing Seth, but out comes Brock Lesnar, whose music interrupts them, and Heyman cuts this great promo, as usual, saying, maybe choose Daniel Bryan.
It's a smarter choice.
Yeah, and Seth Rollins comes down, just gets in Brock's face, and punches him. But Brock has more punches, and
he has so many finishes stored up that he didn't get to use in
powering
yesterday's
up
match.
Loads.
So yeah, he hit 6 F5s in total.
That's an F30.
One of them onto a title, which adds extra damage. And so yeah, no Daniel Bryan whatsoever in the end. That was a nice little red herring, I thought.
Yeah, I enjoy.
A red beard herring. I thought it was a really nice thing to do.
So the Raw literally goes off air as Brock is still delivering F5s. I think he's mid F5 as the Raw feed goes cuts out. And I like that. I almost wanted, it felt very WCW Nitro.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week.
I always wonder if, like, the story, I'd love this for Rollins next week to come out and say, like, do you know what? I was actually going to pick Daniel Bryan because he's a friend of mine and because I've always wanted to have a WrestleMania match with him. But you made a mistake, Brock, and you attacked me, and then you turn it around as like that now he's going to pick him, which I would have thought that would have been quite nice. I mean, they've already said on WWE.com that it's Seth versus Brock anyway.
With a spelling mistake, Seth Rollins will challenge Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Why announce that?
In all fairness, though, you did
online?
spell Razor's name wrong in the review yesterday.
Who
So
cares about
kids in
that?
glass houses.
Who cares about that? So that's a pretty enjoyable Raw, I'd say. Pretty much 100% because of those main event segments with the Becky and Ronda stuff and the Seth and Brock and Bryan stuff. The rest of the show was pretty subpar.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd have almost gone average or a high average.
I went core, actually.
But I think that Becky might have pushed me into a core thing because I enjoyed that so much.
Yeah.
So I think that might have just pushed me over the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Before we get out of here, we've got some Patreon shout-outs. Of course, go over to our Patreon page, support WrestleTalk, and vote on which music video we should make, which wrestling entrance theme me and Luke should cover, because we both came last in Wrestle League Season 1 or 0, I can't remember. But thank you to our $25 plus backers who get a shout-out and their very own wrestling nickname in this video.
Do you want me to start?
Kick it
Excellent,
off.
because I think we did this reference last time and Laurie did not get it. Matthew, thigh bolts this city on rock and roll.
Did I tell you about Lads and Beer?
No.
My friend...
Oh, yes. Yeah.
My friend once said... he thought it'd be funny to change the lyrics to "We built this city on lads and beer," and there was this deathly silence, and we all were like, "No, that's terrible." we still bring it up. Another part of me. Sorry, we didn't give rock and roll a pop.
Absolutely.
Cheers. You get a cheap pop as well. Another part of me, MJ Afamasaga.
Wow.
Afamasaga.
Lovely stuff. The nobleman, Matt Noble.
Top man,
Top
Matt
man.
Noble.
Nice
Let
stuff.
off some steam, Dom Bennett.
Yes. And I ran to Bori.
I couldn't get away.
Yes.
So that's Tabori.
Tabori, yeah.
Yeah,
I ran
just in
to
case
Bori.
he didn't get the name with your
Yes.
inflections there.
Great song as well.
Astounding Abdullah Alanzi.
Oh, he is astounding.
So astounding.
What you talking about, Jerry Willis?
Different
yes,
Strokes
lovely,
reference.
yes.
Sayonara Cheney Grant.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
I
right,
think that's how you pronounce it.
We could be wrong. The Mountain, Matthew Dennis. Oh, he's so
tall.
big.
He ain't no small man. He's William Toolman. His real name's William Toolman. William Toolman or William Toolman.
I'd have said it was William Tallman.
Toolman, probably.
Yeah, like
Toolman.
Like Jim Smallman.
Yeah. Jim Smallman. But that's all we've got time for today. Please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps. And here's the Patreon button. You can click that, which will enable you to get your own shout out. Of course, you have to do more than click it. You have to then go and pledge at the right tier. But there's so many other donation amounts and rewards, and I'm losing my train of thought. I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.